when they are consuming your minds and your thoughts and your dreams, from the angels to the demons and to the mysteries unseen, there is no need to worry. There is no need for dread. It's just time to discuss the thing at the foot of the bed.
You're listening to UFO Undercover with your host, Joe Montaldo, right here on the Paranormal Radio Network.
Welcome to the Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.
There I am. Welcome everybody to the Sunday night edition to Into the Night with me, your host, Sean Kelly. Now, before I put my intro on, what I did was I put about 3 other intros of the different shows that we have on UPRN Talk Radio. Heidi, hello to you. You're a beautiful soul too. And I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Cindy Simpson, good to see you, hon. Thank you for popping in. I truly appreciate it. I want to thank UPRN Talk Radio, 105.3 New Orleans, 107.7 Mississippi, for allowing me to share an hour on Sundays. Cindy says, yes, I thought I was on a different show. No worries, hon. No, I'm giving love to everybody else I can on this platform because, you know, it's not bad to show a little love every now and then. Oh, you're welcome, Heidi. But I don't know. What a week, huh? What a week. It's been pretty interesting. You're welcome, Heidi. And you know, I'm weird sometimes. Heidi did too. Heidi says, I did too. I stopped and had to reevaluate. LOL. Sebastian Moran. Hey, Sebastian, good to see you. Yeah, so basically what I was doing is running, other advertisements for different shows on here. But what a week it was. I don't know. It's kind of weird, but I'm supposed to be like... I've been thinking about Ireland lately. Yes. Sebastian Moran said someone tried to shoot President. Yes, he did. Yeah, someone tried to shoot him. And I think they got him. I think the Secret Service caught the dude. But that's for Friday night shows. But I don't know. I just have been thinking about St. Patrick's Day. And I've been thinking a lot about Ireland, okay? Now, here in the States, right? We got Sasquatch, and we got the Thunderbirds, and we got Bigfoot. We got a lot of cryptids. Um, we have our own monsters here in the United States. But the other day I was thinking, um, I wonder if Ireland has any, if they have any monsters. And come to find out, they do. So I did my research and I got a couple of them down, and about 7 or 8 of them, And the name of the monsters, they're spoken in Gaelic, so my Gaelic is not good at all. You know, I got that Pittsburgh accent, and so, but I did write what they are next to it. So I don't know. I think monsters are kind of like interesting. I mean, think about it. What if we didn't have any monsters? You know what I mean? What if we didn't? And what would this world be like if everything was happy go lucky? No more wars, no more fights. But back to the monsters, think about it, right? Then you couldn't talk about paranormal stuff. There won't be no paranormal to talk about. And I don't know. I don't know. I probably would go bonkers. Heidi says, need to have balance. And then she said, surely do. So tonight, what I want to do is I'm going to tell you some of the mystical monsters or mythological creatures that they do have over in Ireland. Now, these are the bad ones. Okay, these are the scary ones that people are afraid of. And, I asked my mother, my aunts, if they ever heard my grandma ever talk about them, but they looked at me like I was kind of weird. They did. There's been mobsters ever since forward. Yeah, I know what you meant, Heidi. Heidi says there were mobsters, but she meant monsters. So that's how I'm going to start today's show off. If anybody out there in the chat, if you can, please share this, my show tonight. And, I need some love on my YouTube channel. It's the Pittsburgh Paranormal Society YouTube channel. So if you could share that out too, I would truly appreciate it. So here we go. This is it. And if anybody has any questions out there, feel free to put them in. If anybody has any remarks, or if maybe they come up with another different type of monster that they know of that's over in Ireland, feel free to say something, And I give you permission to laugh at my Gaelic or try saying the word Gaelic in Ireland about the monsters. So the first one I want to talk about is, and here we go, it's called a Dearg Dhu. Let me spell that for you. A Deargdue. Heidi says, I had planned to share your show tonight, but I got home an hour ago. You've been in my thoughts. Thank you, Heidi. Same here, too. Hey, Mr. Vogel Brothers. Something I say hi. Have a great show. Thank you, Mr. Vogel. Appreciate it. Hey, Rhonda, good to see you. Wow, great. Good people coming in. It just makes my heart go, bonk, just like beats really fast, knowing that I got my friends stopping in to listen to the show. But like I said, the first one is a Dearg Dhu, Deargdue. Now, she is called, and this is interesting, the Irish vampire. Patrick Kelly, LOL, dude, they don't see you in the morning now. That's scary. That's my brother, Patrick. That's funny. Hey, Tony Sabelis, good to see you, my friend. Thank you for popping in. But that Dearg Dhu is the Irish vampire located right smack in the middle of Ireland. Okay. Can you imagine that? No, you look at, you watch some vampire movies and stuff like that, and they got that real fair skin or almost white, and maybe, maybe, because the Irish, they don't tan at all, and they're like really pure white and stuff. So, but this one's interesting. Okay. Um, and I got my notes here, so I will be reading off my notes here. So please bear with me when I talk about it. But I also, when I was doing this research on this, um, they do believe Bram Stoker's vampire, Dracula. Well, the person, and I don't understand if this guy was going crazy or not, but he said the writer of the film, of the show or the film, whatever, he was Irish. So this author who I got this stuff from was trying to say that maybe, you know, Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula, came from this Irish vampire that's right smack in the middle of Ireland. Joe Fox, hello, my friend. Good to see you, too. Yes, good to see you. Good to see everybody in here. I'm kind of happy. Like I said, my heart's like pounding a little bit, which is all good. Now, the Irish word, okay, there's an Irish word for her, and she is considered a female demon. Yes, a female demon. And she seduces men and drains their blood and kills them. That's wild because, I've been around a while and I never thought, in a lot of work, all the time I was alive, that Ireland would have a vampire. Anybody out there have uh, any remarks to that? She rose from the dead to exact her vengeance on her father and husband. Okay. Dad forced her to marry a wealthy man, and her husband abused her. She drank when she came up to get her, do kill them. She drank their blood, then ate their bodies. And in a way, if I was in her shoes, no shit, if I was in her shoes, right, I'd probably be vengeful too. Now I wouldn't know if I could, eat their bodies, but definitely if I was an Irish vampire, okay, then I would definitely drink them. Oh, ooh. Heidi goes, ooh, yikes, yes. And so, and this is what this Irish vampire did. And they claim that she comes to life once a year and entices men to their deaths. Now, maybe back in, the 1970s or 20s or early 1900s or whatever, I can actually see that being the scary monster that they claim it is. I could see that. But now it's the 21st century, okay? And the way people are in today's world, man, it probably wouldn't be that bad, But that's okay. People are entitled to think what they want to do. But to have an Irish vampire in Ireland, that's like kind of craziness for me a little bit. The next one, like again, here we go. Now this would be interesting because I know there's three or four people in the chat room or come visit my chat rooms, and I do know that there's a lot of people I know um, that listen to the show but don't come into the chat room. But the second one is called the Gaulwitch, and she is the Celtic witch. Anyone ever heard of her? The Celtic witch. So what's crazy about this Celtic witch? All right, you're thinking that the norm is a witch casts spells. They wear black. They do this, they do that. That's what the so-called witch is supposed to be done. But that's not true, ladies and gentlemen. I have a lot of friends who are Wiccans and witches, and they don't do it. They're the most nicest people on the face of the earth, and that's the truth. But I'm just going by what the notes in here say. At I hope I pronounce this right. At Samhain, she will descend from the mountains. We're getting there, Joe. Yeah, really. Yeah, there's a lot of banshees now. It is the 21st century. That was a joke, everybody. That was a joke. Pretty bad. But at Samhain, she will descend from the mountains, and from there, she will govern the earth. Okay. The name Kalia, meaning is old wife. She was worshipped as the goddess of coal and the winds. That's pretty interesting. Well, think about it, right? Where I live, and I'm sure where Heidi lives and Joe lives, and Rhonda and Cindy, okay, it gets cold and it snows, So, Samhain, Sebastian. Thank you, buddy. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, Samhain. All right, good. Thank you, Sebastian. I don't know. It's kind of hard. Heidi says, I just said that I thought she was a goddess. Yes, she was, And she done a lot of good for people, She was the goddess of winter, the cold and the winds. So whenever, right, it gets like really windy and really cold, I think we can blame, the Celtic witch. I know I'll do this year. Camp, it's funny because, she, well, I just lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. But yeah, so that's what I'll do from now on when it's cold and snowy and windy. I'll just blame the Celtic witch from Ireland. That's what I'm thinking. She was referred to, what do we got? Oh, as the Veil One. Okay. Please bear with me. The Queen of Winter. Joe Fox says, my mom is 100% Irish to the core. I love her to death and beyond. So is my mom, Joe. My family is from Southern Ireland. Galway, County Mayo, County Cork. And I still have family over there in Ireland, too. So Irish, runs deep in the family here, too. And I'm telling you what, Irish moms, they give you the eye, you know what to do, run away. maybe she, Mayo, Joe, we might be related, buddy. My grandfather was from there. And yeah, they give you the eye, the Irish moms. I'll tell you what, and this is a true story. Real quick, off the subject a little bit. Now, my mom, all right, she's 85. Okay. And even to this day, if we're not doing something that she does not like, all she has to do is give us the eye. The Irish eye, I call it. The Italians call it the evil eye. I call it the Irish eye. and you just know that you are not allowed or supposed to do that. It's like they got just some kind of like force on you. It's true. So I don't know if anybody else has experienced something like that, with their mom, if they're Irish, or it don't have to be an Irish or an Italian mom. It could be any mom at all, because moms, you know, they 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 know everything. And I just want to give a big shout out to all the mums out there too, because if it wasn't for our moms and our mums, okay, where would we be? So big shout out to the mums. All right. Now back to the Irish mythical creatures, the scary ones at that. Then we got the puka, psychic medium Carolyn Selhorn. Hey, Carrie, good to see you, honey. Hi, I'm sorry late to the party. I am a mum. Thanks for the shout out. I have you shared out. Thank you, Carolyn. Appreciate that. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Sebastian says, Ma's from Castlebar, County Mayo, and Dad's family originates from Galway. Sebastian, I'm telling you, we might be related, guys. Maybe fourth, fifth, sixth cousins down the road. Joe and Sebastian and me, we could all be family. The Fae. Yes, the Fae, but they're not scary, Sebastian. They're not scary. Here's the way I look at the fairies, okay? I do believe in them, and I know they exist. I have seen them, okay? But if you give them this respect and you treat them with respect, maybe throw a little milk and honey out there, or a couple trinkets or some bright shiny stones, you're presenting a gift to them, and they like that kind of stuff. Now, I don't know if they'll ever protect us, but I'm sure they might. But as long as you show good faith to them, they're going to show good faith to you. Okay, what do we got here? Heidi says, I miss my mom a lot, but I did get to spend 3 months with her before she passed. My condolences, Heidi. My condolences. I miss my dad, Heidi. My dad died back in 1986, and he was 52 years old, and he died of cancer. And I know the feeling, Cindy says, I have seen fairies, especially where you're at, Cindy, because there's a lot of woods up there. When you go out in April or something like that, where there are no, we call them lightning bugs here, we call them lightning bugs here in Pittsburgh. Okay. But it's not that time of year for the lightning bugs to come out. And all of a sudden you see all these little lights flickering round and round and round and round and round. I have no doubt in my mind they are fairies. And usually the day after you find the fairy ring. Sebastian says, the ring, Cindy, big thing in the Emerald Isle. Yes, it is. Heidi says, I have never been drawn to the Fae, but apparently they like me. My mom suffered 38 years with MS. God bless you again, Heidi. I know how you feel. My dad suffered for 2-3 years with cancer. Heidi says, miss lightning bugs too. Colorado doesn't have them. Oh, wow, that's craziness. Well, Heidi, you got to come out east here to Pennsylvania. There's tons of them out here, But usually you come up the next day after you see these lights and you see perfectly round fairy rings, So, there's no doubt in my mind they do exist, Somebody asked me a long time ago, do you believe in leprechauns? I do. I believe the leprechauns do exist. But I tell you what, though, Okay, to me, they're more gnomes. They're more like the gnomes than people actually see in leprechauns. And that's my own personal experience. That's what I personally think. But leprechauns do exist, so do the gnomes. Heidi gives me green hearts. Thank you, sweetie. Appreciate it. Cindy says, Sebastian, yes. And I got the opportunity to go to Ireland back in 1983 and visit family because I was stationed um, in Scotland in a little town called Dunoon, Holyloch. And I got to go over and see my family in Ireland, and it is so, so beautiful. So beautiful. Christopher, hey, buddy. I sent you a text message. I see Rhonda said hello. That is a sign that we should all get together again. I totally agree, Chris. That sounds like a plan, and we should. I will check out your text message later on, dude, and I'll get back to you again. I would love to get hooked up with you guys. That'd be nice. And Heidi says, I shared a clip with you. I do enjoy them. Cool. I'm glad. Thank you for sharing it. Um, but that's what I think of the Fae and the Gnomes and whatever's out there. Now, when it comes to unicorns, I don't know. I'm not going to go that far down the road on that. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. I don't know. But to me, I'm not there yet. And but if you do believe in unicorns and they do exist over there, over in Ireland, then God bless you, man. You know, I'm not here to judge you that you're crazy thinking of unicorns. That's not my purpose here. To judge because I don't judge. The only person that does judge is the big guy upstairs. And when I pass, he'll be judging me. So Heidi says, "Oh, that's right." That Thank you for sharing that clip again. Um, but that's what I think of the face. Okay, but to me, they're not scary Irish mythical creatures. Okay. So the next one we got is called the puka, Puca, and it is the Irish ghost. The Irish ghost is called a puka. Ain't that pretty neat? We call them ghosts, we call them spirits, but I never heard of them being called pukas until when I did my research, and I thought that was kind of cute. Um, how to spell that would be Pooka, and it is the Irish ghost, the legendary beings from Irish folklore. They are fairies capable of assuming the form of a horse, goat, cat, dog, or rabbit. Okay. Um, they play tricks on people. Okay, to ride their backs. So they can give the people a wild and dangerous ride, then take the peoples back to where the location that they started. You know, that's interesting because I believe, and I guess if you want to say it, they would be considered, what the hell is it called? Help me out, guys. You know, I don't know. The Indians believe in the Native Americans. Now I can't think of the name, but the, I believe they're here too. Okay. Oh, skinwalkers. Okay. I would think that they would be considered skinwalkers here in the United States. Okay. And but Ireland, I guess, they kind of like made it into animals. Thank you, Cindy. Thank you, skinwalkers. Yeah. So a skinwalker can form into whatever it wants to be. So if you want to ride that horse, you have to make sure that it isn't a skinwalker. Think about it, right? Everybody that we see out there, and we all know that skinwalkers exist, and they're out there. So, I really haven't done any research into skinwalkers, but I think it's kind of interesting. I hear a lot of people talk about them, you know. Hey, Kason, good to see you. See you, buddy. Glad to pop in. Heidi says shapeshifter skinwalkers. Yes, I do believe I saw some shapeshifters here, so think about it. So if you're ever in Ireland, right? Hey, thank you for stopping by, Squats, man. I truly appreciate it. Thank you. Um, Thank you very much for popping in. It's nice to see you. And so if you're ever in Ireland, right? Heidi says, I just watched a documentary on the Navajo and the history of skinwalkers. Oh man, I might have to check that out. I might have to maybe I'll do a show on skinwalkers. Maybe get somebody from the Skinwalker Ranch, that TV show. I don't know. But if you're ever in Ireland, okay, and you see that this thing wants you to ride its back, be very careful because it could be one of the pukas. It's interesting though. So puka is the Irish ghost, but to us in the United States, I would say it represents the skinwalkers. We're at the 32-minute mark. I'm going to take a quick break, and I will be back and get back to some more Irish, scary Irish mythological creatures. See you in 70 seconds. Let me get my thing when I need to. Where's it at? Okay. See you in 70 seconds. Hey, welcome back to the second part of Into the Night with me, Sean Kelly. Um, Again, I want to thank UPRN Talk Radio, 105.3 New Orleans, 107.7 Mississippi. And tonight we are talking about scary Irish mythology creatures. Okay, so it was a pretty interesting first show. I can't go through these names again, but the one that we were just talking before we went to break was called the Puka. Okay, and he is the Irish ghost. And what they do, okay, is they kind of coerce or, trick a human being into riding their backs, because the puka has the ability to transform into a goat, horse, rabbit, goat, a cat, a dog. Okay, they're able to do that. And if you get tricked and you start riding the back of them, they're going to take you on a very dangerous ride. And a scary ride, and then they don't, get you hurt, but they take you back where you first started, which I think was pretty cool. But like we were discussing earlier, okay, Um, so the puka here in the United States, hey, Michelle, good to see you, hon. Heidi says they are creepy and real. Yes. And Michelle, hi, Michelle, Kaysen, good to see you. That's from Heidi. But yeah, so that's the Irish ghost. It's called the puka. I thought that was pretty interesting. And it says here, that people can tame the puka by wearing spurs. It is celebrated at Samhain. And it's really cool about this, right? Um, so it is celebrated at Samhain, whatever. And but what the farmers do when they bring their crops in, they'll leave some crops out in the field so these puka can eat, which I think is like pretty cool, you know. Uh, the marrow. The next one on top of the list is the marrow, and that is called the sea fairy. Never heard of that. Um, so I did my research. But let me get over here in the light. In Irish tradition, a merman or a mermaid that could live in the water and the land. Okay, these are what marrows are, sea fairies. They must wear a magical cap in order to live on the land. Now, what? Oh hell! Sorry, I got somebody calling me, and I don't know who it was. Joe Fox says, I have seen carved turnips. And that's interesting about the turnips, Joe. Everybody in Ireland, okay, what was crazy was when around Halloween, okay, the Irish did not use pumpkins. They used turnips. Come on. Okay, so here it goes again. I don't know how they got, because I don't have Zoom on my computer. Um, But back in Ireland around Halloween, they used to use turnips, and they would carve out the turnips uh, in order to make lanterns, jack o' lanterns. It's pretty interesting. But with these sea fairies called the marrow, right? It is an Irish tradition of a merman or a mermaid that could live in water and the land. They must wear a magical cap. And I looked all over the internet to find out what type of magical cap that they needed, okay, and where to get it, and I could not come up with anything. So if anybody wants to do their own research and find out where they can find the magical cap for the marrow. The marrow is often referred to as sea fairies, shown as the upper body of a woman and the lower body of a fish, which is a mermaid. Okay. The male marrow are gentle but can become hostile against those who were rude or scared them. Now, when it comes to mermaids, I was in the Navy. Oh, okay. Heidi says, I don't remember, but I watched it earlier today. It was a guy researching and two Navajo guides that took him to a cave where some of Navajo's tribes would go do rituals to help the tribe defeat. Oh, really? That's cool. On YouTube, I'm gonna have to check it out. Um, but you know, being in the Navy and being out to sea for 3 years and 4 months, I never saw a mermaid. You know, I saw a lot of YouTube things about mermaids. I've read a lot about mermaids. Let me ask you this question, people out there. Do you think mermaids exist? Do you think they actually can come and live on land where they get this magical cap? I believe so. And I'm not telling you that just to make everybody happy, but I believe there are out there. But I hear they're not pretty. I hear they're like, they look like hags, old hags. I'm not sure, you know. But, and they're supposed to bring the sailor to their deaths, because of their singing. But I don't know. But, when I was doing the research and saw this mirror called the Sea Fairy, it was pretty interesting. So I figured I'd jot it down and jot a couple things down about it and share it with you guys. Um, Heidi comes back and said enemies, but somehow in time people used it against each other. That's when it was prohibited to practice. I'll try to find the name of it. Thank you. Thank you, Heidi, for trying to find the name of it. Rhonda says, we are going to do something up at Conneaut Lake and hope you will be there too, Chris. Yes, that's true. I forgot. Sorry, Rhonda, I forgot all about that. And Heidi says she streamed it on her TV. So I kind of like don't really consider that being scary, being a mermaid or a merman. I don't. What are your thoughts, everybody out there? I've heard a medium saying one of her previous lives she was a mermaid. Don't know how legit she is. Well, Kaysen, if you look at it, and if that's how and what she thinks she was in one of her past lives, then she was. There you go. Heidi says, I do believe in mermaids. I was born in Seattle. That's cool. Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there, Rhonda. I'm getting close to the banshees. Um, I know a lot of banshees living out nowadays, and they're not floating in the air. So, yes, Heidi coming back with the mermaids. That's pretty cool. And, I have to do two more before I have to do one more and then we'll get to the banshees because they coexist. Now, this one coming up, okay, is pretty interesting. That'd be great. Yeah, you can message me, hon. All right, so second to the last one. Now, this one and banshees coincide with each other. It's called the Dullahan. Okay, it's the Irish headless horseman. The Grim Reaper is equivalent of the headless horseman. Now think about that. Remember, just think what I just said. The Irish headless horseman, the Grim Reaper, is equivalent of the headless horseman. Because, the guy rides a black horse and he carries his head in his arm, right? And the eyes in his head that he's carrying are on fire. Okay. And look at the one movie, Ichabod Crane. Look at it, right? The dark horse, the headless horseman with the pumpkin in his hand. That is crazy. And he's called the Dullahan. When he gets off his horse, when he gets off his horse, a person will be killed. Okay. And there's sometimes some tales that he throws buckets of blood at them, but when he yells out a name, that person will die. Let me rephrase that. But when he yells out a name, that person will die. And what is the Achilles heel of the Irish headless horseman is gold, believe it or not. Michelle White says, I believe in banshees. I don't think they're only heard in Ireland. I believe I heard one here. You know what, Michelle? That possibility. God only knows what happened when they let off CERN, how many portals that they opened up when they did that. But that's for another show. And Kaysen says, on My next door lives a banshee. Oh, okay. So someone who lives next door to you is a banshee. Okay, I understand that. But yes, and I thought that was pretty cool because when I started reading about the Dolahan, the Irish Headless Horseman, I found it pretty intriguing. I did. I really did. Because it just came back to Ichabod Crane and about the Headless Horseman. So I think that was cool. Now, everybody, here we go. The last one. And that is the Banshee. It's the Irish word for a ghost that howls. Oh, I believe in banshees too, Heidi and Michelle. So now think about it, right? Now you go out in the woods, all right, and if you're hunting Bigfoot, if you're hunting skinwalkers or anything like that, and you're walking in the woods, you know, you hear a lot of noise, you hear a lot of screaming, you hear a lot of howling, okay, and automatically people come to think that, hey, listen, that's a Bigfoot, or you know, that's a bear, or cougar, or a lion. Oh, I know you believe in Bigfoot, Mr. Wojo. Is the old hag a banshee? Good question. No, it comes in two forms. The banshee can come as an old hag, but it's also a beautiful young woman. Okay. Miss you too, pal. We have to hook up on the phone coming up. In fact, next year, everybody, I'm going to go up to Mr. Wojo up there, him and Richie B, and we're going to do a little Bigfoot hunting up there. And I'm looking forward to that. And you can catch Mr. Wojo um, on Saturday nights at 6 p.m. with Bantering with Richie B. You know, so check them out, and you got a great show. They have a really, really good show. But the Banshee is, you know, she is a ghost that howls. Now you're out in the woods, right, and you're hearing howling. Who's not to say it's a Banshee? Think about it. Think about it, right? It could be a Banshee. Don't have to be a Bigfoot. Don't have to be a skinwalker. Don't have to be a jaguar or a cougar or something like that. Yeah. Stephen Mojo says banter with Richie B. Ah, you're welcome, buddy. And Kaysen says they're supposed to scream when there will be a death in the family in mythology. Yes, Kaysen, that is true. They hang out the door and they start wailing. And here's what the cool part about that is, okay? The cool part is that, you know, it's not cool if somebody dies, but they have to howl or scream 3 times. And whatever house they are near, okay, and you hear it 3 times, somebody, and yes, they do predict death. That's what Rhonda says. But you know what? If you're hear or scream 3 times close to your house or around your house, you know for a fact that someone in that household is going to pass away. Her appearance has been described as a very old hag or a lovely young lady. Everyone agrees that the creature's howling will be heard 3 times before someone passes away. Yes. James says, never heard a banshee, but I've heard Bigfoot several times. Yeah. You know, I don't like to go out in the woods because I'm from the city. But when I get up there with Mr. Wojo and Richie B, that'll probably be the first time I walk into the woods. You know, maybe I'll go in. If I do go, the only reason why I will go into the woods now is to go to the creek so I can prospect gold. Okay. But that was the list of the scary Irish mythological creatures. Yes. And I hope you enjoyed the show tonight. So the stuff that we have here in the United States. You know, there's some pretty cool, scary monsters over there in Ireland too. And I'm literally looking forward to October. You got to protect me, Heidi. You got to protect me. Whoever takes me to the woods, y'all got to protect me. You know, I'll just say that. I'm just joking, but you got to protect me. But in October, we're going to deal a little bit more into Halloween, vampires, and ghouls and stuff like that. So I'm really looking forward to this Halloween. James says, I live in northeastern Washington State. They are up there. I believe you, buddy. Raven Siren says, I've been to Ireland twice. I love it there. It's beautiful, Raven. All my people are like down in Galway, Southern Ireland. Rhonda, thank you, Sean, and call me when you get a chance so we can set the date for the next month at Conneaut Lake. I definitely will there. Conneaut Lake's a cool place to go. But time's getting kind of close. And don't forget, there's another show on after me. Sean Bart, I forget his name. I'm sorry, Sean. Michelle says, Wilford says, my mother said she's seen a Grim Reaper before she passed. That's very possible, Michelle. It's very possible. But children, if you can, please go to your parents, give them a hug, and tell them that you love them. And parents, hey, Robbie, good to see you. You're welcome, Heidi. Children, if you can, go to your children, give them a hug, and tell them that you love them. And parents, please go to your children, give them a hug, and tell them that you love them too. And if you have no parents and if you have no children, find somebody, give them a hug, and tell them that you love them. Because those 3 words, they go a long. Good night, everybody. I don't know what the show's going to be like on Tuesday night. Haven't come up with anything yet, but I'm sure I will. I hope you enjoyed tonight's show. And if there's any questions, just go back and reference the show, and please share it out to people. And please share out Pittsburgh Paranormal Society YouTube. And on that note, good night, and see you Tuesday night.